We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route and how fast. Almost all the world's constitutions are documents in which governments tell the people what their privileges are.
Hey everybody, welcome once again to yet another episode of Two Noobs Talking. It is episode 85. I have Steve Murray with me. I have John Tracy with me. I am, of course, Matt Craig. We're happy you are with us. John, how you doing, man? What's going on?
85 hours in a row for this this Two Noobs Talking is getting tiring.
Going
when are we
like
going to get to
clockwork.
100?
One after another, 15 to go. by the
Yeah.
way.
God.
No bathroom breaks either. It's
Yeah, I know. We haven't even left our house in 85 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Steve, I see that you're bringing the sauce, man. I love it up there.
Ketchup is on the meat. Hey, I had an idea for an invention this
Go
week.
for it. Yeah.
Well, as you know, I'm pretty sure John knows, we had primaries here in Pennsylvania this week.
Yep.
A lot of candidates to pick from, which was very annoying because some of them had like nothing you could find about them.
They didn't have a good Wikipedia page.
Right, exactly. And you can't trust the media to accurately portray their, alliances and such.
Really?
So I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we had a website that for every candidate it had it on a scale from like normal to batshit crazy?
Kind of like the Rotten Tomatoes for the movies.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it just give you a quick look of.
Yeah, I mean, because I had a requirement this year that anybody who was still talking about the 2020 election was immediately cut off my ballot.
Yeah, you have to.
But some of the people, I didn't know if they were on board that MAGA train or not. So
Or not? Yeah. You never know.
Hard to know.
Did you guys, I'm curious, Steve, with you, for me, I had to do an SAT ballot, so I'm filling in the ovals.
Oh, yes.
Is that
nice.
what you had to do too?
With a Sharpie. It's
with a Sharpie. Okay.
Interesting.
Nice.
very intimidating. And then it goes into, John's not in our state, so so you fill it out with a Sharpie, which bleeds through the page.
There's not going to be any problem with that.
Yeah.
Remember the hanging chads back in the Bush-Gore election? I don't know how this doesn't come into play. But then you put it into this machine.
Yep.
You feed it into a machine, it takes the ballot, and it drops into what I can only describe as looks like our trash cans.
Yeah, pretty much.
Put out on the side of the road to get picked up, weekly.
Yeah, that's probably what they're using.
Probably.
It's all local money, so they're just gonna use whatever's left over.
The funniest part about the ballot was they hand it to me and they're like, "Oh yes," and just don't forget there's a question on the back. And the way it was phrased to me, I thought it meant like there was a ballot question or something. So I turn it over, and it was some position, but it was just write in, and I'm like, no, I'm just foregoing that question.
None of the above, that kind of a deal. Oh, that's funny. Wouldn't that be something if they had a choice seat, none of the above? I think a lot of people would love to do that if they would.
I think voting would become easier if 25% of the population could just walk in there and say, "Listen, I don't give a fuck. Don't give me an idiot."
Yeah.
And then you could just get that, and then you could get the two crazy sides fighting against themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And then someone has to determine whether they're an idiot or not.
Look, 2024, just write me in. The more people who get to write me
Boy
in.
Smith, 2024, baby. Let's do it. I'm all aboard that train.
I'm gonna have to get an apartment in Pennsylvania just so I can vote for you.
There you
No,
go.
if I'm running for president, you get to vote. That's nationwide.
Oh, there you go.
Well, we got to get you there, but we got to get you through your state. We
Oh,
got to get you
yeah.
somehow through.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about that too, with write-in ballots for president of the United States. Seriously.
I think they get thrown in the trash.
Do they get thrown in the trash at that
Because
point?
50,000 people have to write in Mickey Mouse a year, right? We live on the same planet, right?
0.001% of the population.
50,000.
Yeah.
If I would agree that they get thrown out just because you don't get enough people writing in an actual person and it being the same person.
Yes.
So
I don't think
you might get
really-
50,000 who write in Mickey Mouse, but Mickey Mouse isn't real. If you had 50,000 write in my name, maybe they would have to show up.
They might take a look at it and stick your name up there so people would know your name. But yeah, they're not. I don't think they really.
That literally is 1.5% of the entire population. 50,000 people. Yeah, of 330 million. Yeah.
Oh.
So there you go.
And they are writing
That's
in Mickey
50
Mouse.
into 330 million times 100. See?
Nice.
That's
you did it right this time.
I did it right this time.
Okay.
That's right. That's right.
Fact checking today.
That's right. Right on the money. So, guys, as always is tradition with us, we always try and figure out, well, who wore the episode number in the city of Philadelphia? And we have a little bit of a hodgepodge of a list. Of course, the most recent, I guess you could say, that we remembered was Nay Brown. N.A. Brown was his name.
John was all over Nay Brown in fantasy.
I wanted him to be so good.
Yeah. Him, I just
he
pulling
was
up
not.
the stats here. He was not. 34 receptions, 363 yards total. His 1999 season alone, 18 receptions, 188 yards, 10.4 a catch. So there you go. He was getting the first down, John.
I think John's fascination was purely the fact that he only had 2 letters in his first name.
And I remember him. In practice, he was so he was the dude that would run down the sidelines, make the one-handed catch, step out, and then you'd get in the game and a dude would press cover him and he'd fall down.
Just couldn't translate the practice into the actual. Yeah, that's just awful. But then even looking further back, we had some interesting receivers that came in that were actually given wrong numbers.
Yes.
2 of them really back-to-back in back-to-back years. First,
and we filed grievances with the NFL.
We have to file grievances with the NFL because this was a complete and utter disaster. First, Art Monk played for the Eagles in 1995 and wore 85. He, of course, wore 81 for the Washington Redskins.
I was still of the age at that point where I was like, oh my God, we got Art Monk. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not realizing he was at the end of his career.
And we decided, you know what? We're going to give him that number because at the time, I think Rob Carpenter was either wearing that year or the next year. I can't remember which.
Well, it had to be that year because otherwise they would have given him his proper number of 81. It's a travesty that a Hall of Fame wide receiver comes to your team at the end of his career.
I know.
And some schlub named Rob Carpenter can't fork over the 81 to give it to the guy who's going to Canton.
Yeah, exactly. Can't fork. It's just terrible.
Didn't Art Monk have a record?
Yeah,
at least
most
at that point,
catches. Yeah,
most catches or something.
Yeah, consecutive. Yeah, most consecutive catches or weeks or whatever that he. Yeah,
and he can't even give him 81.
Nope.
That's terrible.
Well, that is it, but that was the Eagles organization at that time.
Oh, yeah. Just absolutely just brain dead with what was going on. And then they followed up with Mark Ingram. Now, Mark Ingram, of course, played for the Giants back in the early 90s, wore 82 with the big block numbers. He comes to Philadelphia, wears 85.
Well, he was in Miami, too, before us.
In Miami and Green Bay.
There are so many Ingrams that have played in the NFL, I can't keep them straight at this point.
Yeah.
There's like
Mark
8
didn't really do all that
that
much.
Also.
Yeah. Mark Ingram really didn't do all that much for us. He only played in 5 games, caught 2 balls for 33 yards.
Because he was wearing the wrong number.
Exactly. I think so, yeah.
That's the whole point. Art Monk and him were given the wrong numbers, and that's why they sucked.
Unbelievable.
Cursed.
Yes.
Cursed. Yeah.
Just Ray Rhodes' fault, both years.
Like, how do you not do that?
Come on, Ray Bob.
I don't get that. But then we also have, going in the way throwback machine, Steve, your boy, Gary Ballman, right?
Ballman.
1960s and early 70s, actually, was a tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles and actually had a decent career. 2,379 yards, 15 touchdowns. It's pretty good, actually. Primarily played with Pittsburgh, Minnesota, the Giants, but came over to Philly in late 60s, early 70s.
I thought, looking at the stats, he spent the most years out of his career were spent here.
Yeah, 6 years.
Like 6.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, Steelers with 5, yeah. Actually did have a fairly decent career. I mean, that's pretty good.
Well, he can go into the
photo only a mother could love.
He goes into the Leo Sugar Eagle Hall of Fame.
There you go. Yeah.
Rugged.
Yes.
Rugged.
So we had the Bibbles bobblehead. You've got Leo Sugar, who could beat up people in Kensington with his head.
Only with his head.
Now, how do we like classify Gary Ballman here? Like
He could take the headbutt and continue drinking.
He probably could.
He could take the shot and totally order up 2, and then he'd just go right back to drinking.
This is him. He's like, all right, wait. All right, do it. Bang.
Whap.
Oh, that was good. All right, hold on.
Bartender, give me 2 more.
Give me 2 more. Whap. Whap.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. So, guys, what do you say? We dive into topic 1 here, and this is a very interesting piece from Axios. I don't know if you've noticed, but recently there have been some protests going on in the Supreme Court over a subject we will not mention, probably later down the road.
Well, not in the Supreme Court.
Well, not in the Supreme Court, right. These protests are happening outside the homes of the Supreme Court justices. And, of course, we have people that were like, well, you got to have the right to protest. All for that, 100%. But then there are some people out there that are lunatics and will try and, if they don't like said decision by a Supreme Court justice, they'll probably take matters in their own hands. DeSantis in Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis apparently signed a bill Monday in Florida that will make protesting outside of a person's home illegal. This is interesting. The law comes after some Americans have protested outside the homes of Supreme Court justices who live in Northern Virginia. How that applies to Florida, I have no idea.
This is my issue.
Following the leak of a draft opinion indicating the court is prepared to overturn Roe v. Wade, that's a very hot button issue for sure. Florida law bans residential picketing or protesting before or about a dwelling of a person with specified intent. That is
the actual text of the law, right?
Yes.
Actual text of the law.
That's never going to survive.
Yes.
It requires specified warning before arrest.
Can I just real quick, when I read that what the law said, I cringed. Like what he was trying to do. It's icky. Like just on reading, it's icky.
Yeah.
Like he's done some things where I've been like, I don't know if that's gonna fly. This one just creepy. Like that's setting a precedent that we don't need.
No.
At all.
This is tough because you do have a right to protest. You do have a right to voice your opinion. Absolutely. Yes. The question is, what if that protest doesn't get what you ultimately want, and they decide to go the other opposite direction the other way?
You put your big boy and your big girl pants on and you move about your day, because protesting is not about winning or losing. It's about voicing your opinion.
Yeah.
It's not about winning or losing. Protesting is not, if you think that, you're wrong. Protesting is about voicing your opinion. Mm-hmm. Normally, protests are voicing your opinion with a group of people that feel the same way as you.
Exactly. Steve, I think you had a great point in pre-production. Basically, that you think this law wouldn't fly because it flies in the face of the First Amendment, correct?
Well, let's go back first off to the text that you read. Mm-hmm. That is about as clear as mud. And when you have a law that can't be understood by the people to whether or not to abide it, or to law enforcement as to how to enforce it, that in and of itself is going to be problematic.
Yeah.
But yes, this is a First Amendment problem too.
Yeah.
Okay. We already have pretty clear precedent that says under the First Amendment, you have the right to assemble and protest in public space. Mm-hmm. Okay. So my house is private property. Once you get to the street, that is public property.
Mm-hmm.
The protesters have the right to assemble on that public property.
Yeah.
Okay. So DeSantis's law can't possibly mean that. Okay. Well, it only means they can't go on private property. Well, we already have a law to protect private property. It's called trespassing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You could enforce that against anyone who steps on private property.
You would think.
So what the hell do you need this
an
law.
additional law, and I love that.
Exactly.
Because, yeah, it's like we already have certain laws. We can't even keep 10 of them, really, if you stop to think about it. There's something called the 10 Commandments. We can't even keep that. We have to always add additional laws on top of this in order to drive home this point, which is ridiculous. That's such a great point, Steve.
I think
Florida
land
land
handing.
I love this sentence, and again, I'll just read it. The Florida law bans residential picketing and picketing or protesting before or about a dwelling of a person with specified intent.
So
I don't understand that sentence. That sentence is so much, to your point, Steve, that is so muddy. It's like you can't trespass on private property. That's a much better sentence to say because people understand that.
It's scary because it's almost it reads in a way that you can't boo at sporting events. Like that's where it feels like it's got that's why it feels icky. You know what I mean? Because it's so authoritarian in a way that just it gives me just
like, well, there's no, I'm not hosting Flyers games at my house. It's got to be a private residence. I don't think Wells Fargo Center, you know.
No, I understand it, but it's similar to what if it's a, you know, Dan Marino, and Dan Marino back in the 80s sucked at his job, but he happened to live in a place where people would want to boo him on his way home. They're not allowed.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to, it's an interesting question. I'm just going to throw at both of you to get your raw reaction on this, but I think it's an overreaction to what was going on in the summer of 2020, because you saw a lot of, I can remember there was the St. Louis couple where you had Black Lives Matter walking through, and they're out there showing their guns. Now, okay, if they're just walking past the house, no problem. You know, I have no issue with that. If they're on their way to a protest, no problem with that. If there is intent to destroy the house, that's a totally different story.
But that's also trespassing, and you can defend yourself that way.
And you can defend yourself that way. But the optics of the situation was, here's this guy walking out with an AR-15. The wife's sitting out there holding the pistol kind of like this. You know, kind of just like, okay.
I have a question
over here.
I have a question to counter your question. Did the media blur the lines, and that's why we're here?
Yes. Yeah, I think so.
My answer is no. My answer is DeSantis is off the rails trying to please the hard right by trying to appear tough on things that aren't even happening in his state, for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's pure panning. He's pandering to the extreme right base.
Yep.
So, oh, look, these people are outside Samuel Alito's house protesting. We've got to do something hard about that. How about enforcing trespassing laws?
I was going to say also, you've got the Supreme Court police, correct, Steve? I mean, they've got their security detail that protect these justices.
They're probably
any sort of.
They're probably way more protected than the normal citizen.
I would think so. Yeah.
I mean, they're the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
They got some stuff.
To me, DeSantis in this is a continuation of behavior of him trampling on First Amendment rights.
Yeah.
You know, it goes back to, you look at the Disney thing, you know, and I don't care how you come out on how Disney was.
Exactly. Either side is what either side is.
Yeah. Whatever you think of what Disney's, pushing at the legislature is, the corporations have a right to free speech under the First Amendment too.
Amen to that.
And I don't know exactly how this whole thing works in Florida with private land and whatever, but whatever they did in the legislature to strip Disney of as a result of that was made pretty explicitly clear it was the result of their speech.
Yes.
And is retaliatory against freedom of speech. So he's trampling on First Amendment rights all over the place for messages he doesn't like, and that's not appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. He. You can agree or disagree. Like that, him taking away those things, you could make an argument either way that it's a good idea, you know, or not a good idea.
Well,
But
yeah,
the way he presented it was very murky also, because he was like, just because you said that, I'm taking this away.
Well, no, that's the point. It wasn't murky. He explicitly said, yeah, we're doing this because you guys were messing with our politics. It's you know what this is good, easily comparable to? Remember a few weeks ago when we talked about the decision against OSHA about the vaccine mandate?
Yep.
And the fact that Joe Biden was out there saying, yeah, we're going to get a vaccine mandate through OSHA.
Yeah.
That helped to sway the court opinion. Yeah, this is not right.
Yeah.
You're exceeding your authority. That's the same thing here.
That's a great point.
DeSantis is saying, oh yeah, I don't like your message, so we're going to take away these things that we granted you previously.
I think
that's retaliatory.
No
Yes,
question.
it is. No,
Yeah, no
absolutely
question.
it is.
I think the biggest thing too is I think it goes to a lack of really just having debates. Really, if you think about to the heart of it, it's treating the other person with enough respect that you're able to defend their position. I don't
have that.
Not nearly enough of that going on in politics right now.
Yeah, we don't have those politics anymore.
No.
These
a lot of attacks, and it's on the left and the right. They're both guilty of it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I like to look at the political realm very simple. It's a bird, and we the people are the driving force to it. We're the brains and the in between, and then we got these two wings. And then you've got your extreme right and your extreme left, and then it comes a little bit in. And then you've got so you got your Bernie and you got your Trump out there, and then you bring it in a little bit. Maybe you got your Rand Paul, like a little bit out of there, and then you got maybe your the kook from Texas, the constitutionalist. What the hell's his name?
Oh God,
Ted
Cruz. Yeah,
you got Ted Cruz, and then you got like a normal
AOC,
politician that might like understand something, and then same thing with the left. You got Bernie out there,
you got AOC,
and you got like the Clintons, and you got, and then you get a little closer, you get normal. I think we're playing out near the wings at this point in politics.
The tips of the wings.
Yes, and we need to flap them a little bit, knock some things off, and bring it a bit closer to the body.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm just to put it out there and make it clear. I mean, I don't like the idea of protesting outside somebody's house. I know it's First Amendment, but just me personally, I don't like the idea.
Yeah, I think it's a dumb
to me,
idea. You're allowed to.
To me, the obvious thing to do would be if you have a problem and you want to protest, to go to the Supreme Court, where that's the business.
And they deal with that all the time.
But like I said, there's a First Amendment right. You can be on the street outside somebody's house.
I think as long as that's happening, I can understand it. Now, if there comes a point, this is interesting, because what do we do in a case where it becomes more of an annoyance? If they're out there for 4.5, 5 hours, pitching tents in the road, that's where you kind of cross that line a little bit.
Yeah, but the Constitution was written for a reason.
Yeah, I think it was written clearly it was written with the people having a good sense of morality and understanding and treating people with respect and dignity. Because why else would you have a Second Amendment in there where people can have the right to bear arms? You don't have that written into any sort of legislation or amendment without some sort of we trust the people enough that they do have the right to bear themselves and defend themselves where necessary. That kind of a thing. Whereas before, it's all regulated by the government. And that's the whole debate with the gun thing. But I guess my point is, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's how we treat each other. It's how the horizontal relationship is huge, and the vertical one too. But the horizontal relationship is massive, because it's like, if we come across to someone that we disagree with, that's where tolerance comes in. That's where, an empathetic ear understanding where they're coming from and then able to defend that position.
To use John's analogy of the bird, the tips of the wings are too far apart.
Yes.
To hear each other.
Exactly.
And to me, this law is just it's purely political purpose to make DeSantis look good to supporters all the way on the right.
Yeah.
Because you have trespassing laws for the private property. You have just regular criminal laws if it gets violent.
Yeah.
That you have safety laws if they're blocking emergency
Mm-hmm.
routes or something. There are ways to deal with this if something is going absolutely wrong.
Yeah.
But if all they're doing is standing on the street, holding up a sign and chanting, that's First Amendment protection.
No question. Yeah, no question about it. Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating to see what happens down the road, obviously. But yeah, that's such a great point. All right, guys, topic 2, and I guess this is going to be a transmission change here, going from such a heavy topic to a lighthearted one. Washington Post article here.
I'm shifting.
Pandemic pet boom breeds desire for dog-friendly offices. This is interesting. Basically talks about having dogs in the work office in order to bring people back to the work office. Some companies have decided to bring dogs in. As offices start reopening, thousands of workers being called back for the first time in 2 years, some companies are allowing employees to bring their pets. 23 million Americans, guys, adopted a pet during the pandemic. That's according to the ASPCA. But of course,
technically, I would be one of them.
There you go.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's
So
like a cat,
we,
right?
we got a kitten last May.
Yeah, so you're in that statistic.
Yeah, I guess.
I've been fighting that statistic the whole time.
This is crazy. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a pet here. I'm not a cat person. I've always been a dog person. It's like I can't.
You had a
have
beautiful
dog here.
dog, by the way.
I did.
Absolutely gorgeous
Yeah.
dog.
Oh my gosh, yeah. A recent survey conducted by Banfield Pet Hospital showed that 57% of the 1,500 pet owners polled said they would be happiest returning to a pet-friendly workplace. Majority opinion. Half of the 500 top executives surveyed said they are planning to allow pets in the office. Tech companies including Google, Amazon, and Uber plan to continue to allow dogs at their offices even with their flexible office policies. Bring the dogs, bring them back, baby. But of course the move is being caused, there's a mixed reaction to it. Some are happier, more productive, others are annoyed. They have to quit their jobs due to allergies, phobias, etc.
I'm annoyed by the whole not just the dog thing. This brings up just more and more of this millennial, how do we get these kids to work shit. Go up and work, because that's what you're supposed to do. Like you get paid a salary to show up, shut up, and do what you're supposed to do, and
Thank
go
you.
home. I'm also for like being, nice, and I don't believe in slave drivers, but bringing dogs to work it's a little too much for me. Like,
I would agree with that.
Do I have the option to, I'm just saying, in the office where all the dogs are, do I have an option to work from home and not be disturbed by it?
Yeah.
That's my question to the dog movement. If you want to put all the dog people that want the dogs at work to be, why can't they just be there and I'll be over here when I don't want the people that don't want to be around?
Here's an example, guys, on the in the article. One of the issues here was Anisha Standback, intimacy coach in Las Vegas. How about that? Wow, that's an interesting job title.
I'm not even going to make fun of that, and I should.
Yeah, exactly. She quit her job last year over the workplace cat. Standback says that she's an animal lover who has an emotional support Scottish Terrier. I don't get this emotional support dogs. I don't get it, but anyway. The Scottish Terrier's
animals
named
are
Sparky.
emotional support. They've always been.
Yeah.
We're just labeling them now.
She's allergic to cats and some
I'm coming
dogs.
off really insensitive, and I don't mean to.
Too late. Too late. When a former employer let a cat, John, when a former employer let a cat roam freely in the workplace, Standback said she suffered allergies and ear and sinus infections. Sometimes would put her out of work for days. Eyes would puff up, nose would run, pus would come out of her ear. Ugh. Really?
I think she's got more than one thing.
I think so, yeah.
That's dramatic. I mean, I'm allergic to cats. That's why we don't have a cat.
Yeah. it was crazy. And then here's one where an office dog made a former workplace, the accounting department at a pet-friendly hotel in Florida, feel dirty. The senior canine was blind and deaf, needed a lot of attention. So the office equipped with puppy pee pads at the entrance. Can you imagine? Though once he peed on the carpet next to the desk of Gene's coworker. So the dog just went.
Well, this is okay. So it's not okay. Now I finally have a point where I'm not going to come off. I'm not going to come off. I finally
John's about to beat on this blind deaf dog.
Yeah.
Dude.
No. The dog is actually fine. I have a problem with the people, not the pets. I don't feel like the people inherently will manage their situation in a way to make it comfortable for everybody. Not the dogs. I don't have a problem with the dogs, the cats, the hamsters. I don't even care if you want to bring a snake. I'm deathly afraid of them. I don't trust the people to manage their not only themselves, but their pet situation in an appropriate manner that would make it a unified office.
Yeah.
That's always the problem.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Yeah. And it's interesting because it's like I've never worked at an office that had any sort of pet in it. Nor would I want to be perfectly honest. Work's work, home's home. Like, I get it, it's like you're trying to get people back, but
you can't even get a hamster? Like, you can't even have a hamster?
Not even a hamster, not even a gerbil, not even whatever the case may be, it's like, forget it. You know what I mean? It's like, work's work, home's home.
Well, my other question is, why would you want to pen your dog up for that long? I understand that you're going to leave it at home, right? Yep. And it's going to be penned up, but at least it knows that area. It's not like it's like, I'm going to work. It doesn't have, like, his brain doesn't work that way. Yeah. Steve can't, like, scoop his cat up and be like, hey, we're going in the office. And the cat's going to be like, yeah. And then they jump in the car and they go to the office. We're like, where are you taking me? I live there.
Exactly.
Well, to your point, John, I think the issue is a lot of people would bring their dogs and then not leave them pent up in their office. They're going to let them roam about freely into other people's offices, and
that scares me.
That's a disaster.
Because then you're not going to get any work done because you're going to Toby the dog is chasing everything but sitting by you, and now you're not at your desk doing your work because you're chasing your dog.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Look, I mean, when the pandemic started, the kitten we adopted was after we had our long cat, our aged cat had passed away. He would sit with me while I was working at home. And it was nice to have him there. There were occasions where he would be on my lap a little bit too long, and I'm like, my leg's falling asleep. You gotta get off. He was very stubborn and wouldn't do that. But yes, it was nice having him there. But I couldn't bring him into an office.
Yeah.
That's
just so stupid. Yeah.
I mean, if you want to say, all right, we'll have a bring your dog to work day, like once a year, okay, we'll put up with it, and the people who don't want to be there for that can work at home that day.
I foresee disaster, though. I mean, it's literally like, for those that have cat allergies, okay, you got to have cats on this floor or cats in this area. And it's like, that is a balancing act. I mean, the kids bringing your daughter to work day, bringing your son to work day, that kind of a deal, that's okay. But the dog, hard
you
pass.
You can have the days, not all the time. I don't think it works.
I'm saying like one day.
Yeah.
Like they do at the ballpark. They got your bring your dog to the ballpark day.
Yeah, we're talking dogs. We're talking 300 and some odd days a year. People have to.
It's a lot.
You can just have everybody work from home, because obviously in the national polls, productivity didn't stop during the pandemic. So why are we even worried about going back to the office?
I mean, the thought process, I guess, would be like, well, okay, if it's an enticement to get people to come in, we're going to allow you to bring your pet in with you, as opposed to working from home and you're always stuck at home. Well,
but it's going to force the other 50% not to want to come into the. It's a failed attempt at what they're trying to do.
This again goes back to your comment, John, about not managing things. Matt is rather abnormal in that he is a dog person having grown up with a dog. But he's not one of those people who feels that just because he has a dog, everyone has to like his dog.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. No, you're supposed to.
Yeah. There are untold dog people who just feel like if you don't like their dog, you
don't like them.
Fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it's almost it's the same thing with the identity politics. If you don't like my dog, you don't like me.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's
if a dog doesn't take a shine to you, you're disqualified. I mean, I can't date you. Forget it.
And those people will they'll let their dog run up to you and practically hump your leg and say, "Oh, he likes you. It's cool." And you're like,
"No, it's not.
It's not really cool. I don't want this." You know, and that's a problem that a lot of people who own pets, and it's not just dogs, who own pets generally, just feel like their pet can do no wrong, and everyone should tolerate their pet doing whatever the hell it wants because it's their pet.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that just can't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially not in the workplace.
No. I think it's just so unsanitary as well. I mean, the accidents that can happen at any one point. You don't
I bring my cat to work. Okay, am I going to have a litter pan there for the cat to do its business?
And where are you going to put it? You going to put it everywhere? I mean,
wait, do I want it in my office? I don't want to smell that while I'm working.
Exactly.
Most people that have cats have a designated place for their litter.
Yeah, ours is in the laundry room.
With it on a daily basis.
Ours is in the laundry room where you don't smell it unless you're going to do laundry. Which is, once a week.
Yeah, it's not very well thought out.
It's a fad that I hopefully will go away sooner rather than later for sure. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Have you ever created a post on social media only to realize afterward that you didn't have your facts straight? FactRight has the solution. We surgically implant a chip at the base of your skull with Wi-Fi compatibility, connect you to the most trusted fact-checking sites around. It'll stop you from embarrassing yourself before you post. For example, let's say you were about to post that the 76ers should have drafted Jason Tatum instead of Markelle Fultz. But your dumbass doesn't realize the Celtics wouldn't have traded with the Sixers unless the Sixers promised to take Fultz. And if the Sixers stayed at 3, Boston would have taken Tatum at number 1 anyway. FactRight will stop you before you look like a jackass. Order today.
All right, guys, third topic, and this one is very interesting.
Matt, before you get into the third topic, I just realized that I did not actually read the sponsors thing. That was just a rant on another invention I had.
Oops.
We'll get the sponsor next week.
Okay. All right. Ciao. But in any event, but let's go ahead then.
At least we didn't have to fire anyone this week.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. No firing. That's great.
Man, Mondays and Tuesdays are crazy with the hiring.
Tell me about it.
So many interviews.
Just a turnover rate. No wonder there's a great resignation. In any event, guys.
And I don't like dogs, apparently.
Yeah, exactly. Third topic. Americans bet $125 billion on sports in the last 4 years since the Supreme Court legislated or overturned or whatever happened. Americans have bet more than $125 billion in sports with legal gambling outlets in the 4 years since a U.S. Supreme Court ruling cleared the way for all 50 states to offer it. Normally, I think 4 years ago, it was only restricted to 4 states.
This was sports betting on sports.
Betting, yeah.
Sports betting.
Sports betting, yeah. And in just 4 years, the industry has worked itself into daily lives of millions of Americans. It's everywhere. Everywhere you go.
It was a part of daily Americans when it was illegal. We just got numbers on it now.
Yeah. It's really remarkable, to be perfectly honest. It's scary, but it's also really remarkable to see this thing really just grow, because you can't avoid it. I mean, it's everywhere. It's everywhere on Stanley Cup playoff games. It's everywhere in wrestling, boxing.
Whoa.
Whatever.
They have it in wrestling?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They do know wrestling is scripted, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
they have DraftKings plastered on the apron and on the canvas.
Oh yeah.
In the wrestling ring. Yeah.
So you can bet on wrestling, which is fixed.
I don't know exactly. I don't know how any of this works, but yeah, they do offer. DraftKings does definitely, and
Oh my god.
I don't know about Barstool. They seem to be the bigger of the group coming up. The Barstool Sports, they're all over the place. They're doing bars, and it's like Vegas everywhere.
Yeah.
With Barstool, it seems to be that they're bigger. I know a ton of people that gamble. I do not. I have for fun, like when I was in Vegas. Gambling, doesn't bother me. I mean, as long as it's not ruining, like to a person like that loves to gamble, as long as it's not ruining your life, I have no issue with anything. As long as your life isn't in shambles.
125 billion is a little bit more than the amount that was spent on pet food, supplies, and veterinary care in the entire country last year.
That shows you priorities.
Yeah. More than the net income for America's farmers last year as well.
That's interesting.
Which is very, very interesting. Much of the money was paid out to people who won bets, of course. Makes sense. After expenses, the sports books generally keep less than 10% of the total amount of bets that they handle. It's interesting. Over the first 4 years of legal betting, the sports books revenue figure is $8.8 billion. A major rationale for the push to legalize sports betting was to protect customers from being victimized by unlicensed bookmakers. John, to your point on that, many operating as part of organized crime.
There was in the 80s and the 90s.
Exactly. Wasn't there a mob boss in Philadelphia that was notorious for that? I can't remember.
Probably. I don't want to speak
Merlino?
about it, but yeah.
Merlino, yeah. Didn't he run like some sort of sports racketeering ring or something like that?
I don't know. He's the Philly mobster that I'm most.
Yes.
And
if he did, it was probably reputable, and it probably did well. You got to gamble somewhere. That's
so legalize it to protect the public from the unscrupulous illegals, but as a good side benefit, we can also tax it.
Exactly. And speaking of that,
that's the whole point of taxing the gambling, because gambling was going on. I think the same numbers you could attribute to when it was illegal.
Probably.
So,
now you just got fancy logos.
Speaking of that, according to the American Gambling Association, I want to be a part of that.
That seems bullshit right there.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Seems like someone taking a paycheck.
The taxes generated, yeah, exactly. The taxes generated $1.3 billion in state and local taxes since 2018. So, Steve,
I have no issue with that.
There you go.
It.
Yeah.
But can you, as long as you're fixing the roads and doing the shit you're supposed to do with the tax money, I'm okay with that.
Well, $118 million is being done right now on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, Johnny. So there you go. I don't know.
As long as that's happening, I'm okay with taxing things.
The amount many states keep is a mere drop in the bucket compared to their overall budget. Basically, this is kind of just like a drop in the bucket, really. Some states like New York tax mobile sports betting revenue at 51%. Yes, that's right, 51%.
Why not? It's money you make by you don't really have to do anything.
Exactly. Yeah. But that rate is that operators say is not sustainable in the long run. So that's very interesting. As of Friday, I guess of this past week, 35 states plus Washington, D.C. have legalized sports betting. 30 of those are up and running, according to the AGA. There will be some competing measures on the November ballot of 2022. California, where wrangling between tribal casinos and commercial gambling companies has the potential outcome unclear. So that's interesting. You've got your tribal casinos, your commercial gambling companies at war in California. In Two-Faces state, Johnny, what do you think about that? I mean, that's hilarious.
I know. I got what before I don't have any more to say about the gambling thing, which I totally agree with. As long as they're taxing it, as long as that's happening. Got one story to tell you about when I was in Vegas many years ago. This is when Mike Vick and Donovan McNabb were on the Eagles team, and I was sitting in a bar watching a game, and the Eagles were up. I forget who they were playing, and they put Mike Vick in the game, and some wonderful human being from far away. He was like 50-60 feet away at one of the pull down games or whatever you call those things, and he's looking at the Eagles games, and all I hear is, "What the fuck, Andy Reid? people got money on this fucking game as soon as he put Mike Vick in the game. Wow. And I remember looking back and just like, wow. I never thought about betting that way. Like, I never thought that existed. But the dude was literally pissed because they put the backup quarterback in the game. Because I'm trying to cover. I'm not enjoying the sport. I'm hoping for the cover so I win money. I was young at that point. And I didn't understand why he was so upset.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't be upset. It's ridiculous. That's the part. I don't bet. Okay, I don't gamble. I'm like John.
Yeah.
But if people want to do it and blow their money,
do your thing.
Okay, but the problem, since it's become legal, the problem is now it's seeping in. Pre and post game shows are giving you betting lines. It's everywhere.
You can't.
Like, I don't need Eddie Olczyk breaking in the middle of the first period to tell me what the lines are now on which team is going to win.
Yeah.
Okay. I really don't need that.
No, if you had money on it, it would be perfect. You'd be up to date, but you don't have money on it, so now it's annoying.
But here,
this guy you're talking about in Vegas is the part that really pisses me off. Like, he feels like coaches should be making decisions based on how people are betting and not what's best for his team.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what really pisses me off.
That was the crazy point. That grew me up into a whole nother level of thinking, because I always thought it was about the game.
Yeah.
It
is about the game.
I enjoyed sports, and when I look back, I was like, wow.
It's
wow,
crazy.
like that was it changed the way I thought about things.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it should be about the game and not about that. And that's my fear is, people are going to start taking this into account.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're up 7. Maybe we, should dial it down. Like, no, how about you increase the score because your defense blows, and I'm worried about you blowing the lead.
Yeah.
I hate it when somebody's like, oh, well, this team is 8-0 against the spread. Yeah, well, they're 2-6 because they suck ass. I want them to win a game. I don't care how they do against the spread.
Such a great point. This is interesting too, guys. This is, you hear all about problems. Call 1-800-GAMBLER, right? You see that ad,
in tiny
font.
In tiny, you could probably help.
Real tiny font. So this article here in 2018, this was made by the New Jersey Council. The 1-800-GAMBLER telephone helpline received 9,490 calls total in 2018. 5% of which was primarily due to a sports betting problem. In 3 years, the line received 23,977 calls. Roughly, that's about an 80% increase. 23% of those 23,000 calls dealt with sports betting. So this is increasing multiple times. That's like nearly a 5-time increase in terms of
people can admit to it now because it's legal.
Yeah, exactly. Now, but it just falls in a line of addiction.
Yeah. Yep. And that's a danger that you have to watch, obviously.
You're gonna, I would hope if they're going to legalize it and they're going to push it in their face, that at least they put the number a little bit bigger. Yeah. That would be a smart thing to do to help people.
It's like that's like the beer commercials putting drive responsibly real big,
Yeah, but they're not going to do it. But I'd feel more comfortable.
Yeah, it would be huge and beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah, try to save people. I understand people are going to, adhere to their vices, but be responsible in throwing that out there. If you're going to legalize it, you should probably have some responsibility to human behavior. At the exact same time of legalizing it.
Yeah.
That's at least my hope.
Yeah, so if Eddie Olczyk's going to read the line in the middle of the first period, how about afterward you say, hey, if you've got a gambling problem.
Why not just throw it up on the screen? You got Pepsi up there for fucking 17 hours. You can't take them down for 10 seconds?
Yeah. Huge point. All right, guys, here we go. 4th topic. Look at that.
Gritty.
God, do we miss him in the playoffs? Holy cow, do we miss Gritty? Oh my gosh. But this one is really fun. I love this because it was utterly hilarious, both of these stories. And we're trying to figure out which one is the more embarrassing one of the two. But topic 4 here, we have a couple of embarrassing sports stories. The first one is so embarrassing and so out of I don't think it's out of left field. It's just so wild. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this, guys. The Coyotes in Arizona State, the Arizona Coyotes in the NHL, and Arizona State will reportedly have both of their logos at center ice as part of this new deal. What's going on here? Well, at the Gila River Arena, hopefully I got that pronunciation
Yeah, way
right.
to pronounce it correctly.
There we go. The city of Glendale, Arizona, and the Arizona Coyotes have not really been chums per se. Let's just say they've had a competitive relationship over the years, ever since they moved down there from Winnipeg. And they couldn't get a new lease done. So essentially, the city of Glendale kicked them out of their home arena. This 18,000 seat arena. And so in order to find a place to play, the Coyotes called up Arizona State University in a 5,000 seat barn and said, "Can we play ice hockey there?" Arizona State said, "Sure, but we've got a few things you've got to go through first. First of all, what you have to do is that you have to sign this clause. And this clause says that anything basically that the Coyotes have to adhere to this. They have to hold to widely held principles of public morality, failing to conduct its business affairs with a high degree of integrity and honesty, and or failing to act in a good corporate citizen would be cause for the agreement's termination." So if they fail in that regard, per the university, they're done. They're out of this lease agreement.
Which, let's be honest, that shouldn't be that hard to keep up.
We are talking about the Arizona Coyotes, though.
Yeah, that is my point. Like, the Arizona Coyotes do not do business well.
No.
to those standards.
They've had a history. They've had a history of
bit of
kind of skipping on rep payments to the city of Glendale. Kind of going back to what I was saying before. They've drafted a player who's been racially abusing another teammate. They've done that. They eventually had to walk that pick back and forfeit it after the backlash from the hockey world, basically came to their front doorstep.
They also got punished for a scouting. They did something wrong. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they did something wrong in terms of scouting pre-draft.
Yeah.
And had to forfeit their pick that year.
Didn't Tocchet get in trouble while he was coaching them for
he was under
illegal gambling
investigation,
or something
I think,
like
from what I
that?
understand. Yeah. I think
Where
he
they
was
threw
under
Gretzky's wife
investigation.
under the bus or something during that time. Wasn't that going on there too?
There might have been some internal investigations, shall we say, and I think something got settled out of court, maybe. I don't know. Guys, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, my God, I keep thinking, Philly Flyers, we've struggled a little bit. Let's face it, the last few years haven't really done much in the playoffs. But then we could be the Arizona Coyotes.
Well, it's a shame. I like the Coyotes. I like their jerseys, and I like a lot of their players that they've had over the years.
And they've had some great ones.
They have.
Really, they've had some great teams. Yeah. Guys that made the conference finals, for crying out loud.
Yeah. It kind of sucks to see that, but you didn't really get to the juicy part of the story, which was the center ice fiasco. So they're in this 5,000 seat Arizona State arena now for the next foreseeable couple of years.
Yeah.
And what you said, where they have both logos at center ice, was a compromise.
Because it was only going to be Arizona State University's logo on it.
Right. It was just going to be Arizona State. And it's like, this 5,000 seat arena, so it's just a lower bowl. It's not even a 2-tier, like any of the normal arenas. And I saw the prices for the tickets, and they're outrageous.
Are they really?
Oh God, they're like $450 a seat for some sections in this tiny ass little stadium.
That's insane.
Well, I guess they got to make up the revenue somehow, don't they?
Yeah, you got to make up the revenue. This is, Arizona State had all the leverage here.
Yeah,
it really did.
That's what this is, and that's all it is.
It's a business negotiation where one person didn't have a home, and the other person had two. And hey,
I guess the old America West Arena where the Suns played, that's basketball only, I think, if I'm right on that. Right, John? I think?
Maybe. I don't even know where. To be honest with you, I have no idea where the Coyotes ever played.
Yeah.
Well, I knew Glendale, but they used to
well,
be
everybody plays in Glendale.
They
Yeah.
used to be
Arizona.
the Phoenix Coyotes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But I don't know how close Glendale is to Phoenix. That's just always
It's not
been
close.
Yeah.
But I don't. Then again, I don't know if they've always been in Glendale. That's
I think everybody's been in Glendale. I think that the Cardinals, the Suns, I think everybody plays in. I think that's the place to play. That's where everything is. I don't think they have multiple arenas.
They've got a entertainment district, so I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. And it's not that far from Phoenix, guys. You're probably looking at Google Maps here, not doing I'm probably looking about a 25, 30-minute drive, maybe, if that.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
but the
well,
scenery is going to make it feel like 3 hours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
probably. Arizona's just flat.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, you're looking at, let me see. Just trying to pull this up here. It looks like, 25-minute ride. So there you go. It's like 25 minutes from Glendale to Phoenix. So, yeah. I mean, that's embarrassing. That is, like, I don't think that ranks really high on the list, doesn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, where you're basically kicked out of your own home arena. You can't you skip on payments. You've had so many issues with bankruptcy, whether or not someone's going to buy the league or buy the team. Is the league good, doing the league operations? It's like
the league did do the operations for a few years, like 2009 or something.
Yeah, they had control of the team a couple times, right?
Easily. Yeah. I mean,
But they don't want to move them. And we have grown the sport to the southern part of the United States. I mean, Austin Matthews scored 60 goals for the Maple Leafs this year. He grew up in Arizona. All right, so he was a Coyote fan.
That's smart. It's smart business.
Yeah, I mean,
so
you
don't go away from that.
You can't if you don't have the Arizona Coyotes, you don't have Austin Matthews. That's
all it takes is one billionaire down there or somebody to buy that buy that team. I don't know why it's not. I guess the reputation is preceding itself.
I mean, it's the same thing that we're talking about the Elon Musk with Twitter thing. If it's a little sketchy, why are you spending your money? Like, do you want to really go in there and clean house like that? Most billionaires or millionaires that want to acquire something, they want a simple acquisition.
Yeah.
They want a good faith kind of understanding. They don't want to hire 27 people to, they just don't want to do that. That's the whole thing. The Flyers had that issue when Ed Snyder passed away. It was very tough. They didn't want to come in and they just wanted to keep it kind of status quo. And that's kind of what
sports team ownership is not generally seen as a lucrative.
It is not. It's a lot of work for Jeffrey Lurie's story is a very, very rare story where you buy something for such a low price.
Yeah.
But also to Jeffrey Lurie's
immense
praising.
Credit. Yeah.
He worked his ass off.
He sure did.
For years and years and years to become a billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah. I mean, he looked at and improved that product big time. You guys, we both, all three of us know how bad that Eagles team was. Even though they were growing and kind of got good under Bremen, they weren't a Super Bowl contender.
That business affairs were bullshit.
Yeah.
That's why Lurie got it.
You're more known for the vet being filled with rats in an underground jail cell than you are a team. That's terrible.
But very few sports teams make real good money.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right.
You can't just, and this is to Lurie's credit, you can't just rely on attendance.
Yeah.
No.
You have to get deals. You have to get advertising deals.
Brand
Flyers can make a lot of money because they own the sports network.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they can use that. So it helps to generate revenue.
But
and
talking about Phoenix, like they don't have that pullout.
Right.
They don't because wasn't the Suns Colangelo, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't he originally involved in the moving, but he's far gone now. Like he was the one guy that could make that big move to bring them down there. They don't have that person to come in and save them.
Yeah, exactly.
This is kind of why they're in the predicament they are, where they had to beg Arizona State University to, hey, can we play here until we figure this out?
It really is amazing. It's you go on Wikipedia, the Arizona Coyotes, they currently play at the ASU Multipurpose Arena in Tempe.
Wow.
I mean, that's just...
How close is Tempe? 'Cause actually, I thought the Cardinals played in Tempe.
I think they do, yeah. In
I don't
Tempe,
know
Arizona.
if they did or they do.
I think I do remember hearing Tempe, Arizona.
I think they moved to Glendale,
but
I
that
think
might
they used to play in Tempe.
Exactly, and I think Tempe is really where Arizona State University is, and
that's
further
big time.
that's further east of Phoenix. So you're talking Glendale is northwest of Phoenix. So if you got Phoenix here, you got Glendale probably right there,
and that's where the Suns and the Cardinals play.
And the Cardinals play
in Glendale because they all moved
Arizona,
to Glendale at one time.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Where
do the Diamondbacks play?
I have no idea. I even forgot about the Diamondbacks until you mentioned them. How funny is that? They weren't even a team until you said it.
Phoenix, downtown. They're in Phoenix.
Really? Oh, they're in
well, that makes sense. That actually makes sense. I'm a huge fan of ballparks in center cities.
They're literally downtown Phoenix.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That's probably why they do well.
Yeah. I don't know where the University of Phoenix or where the Cardinals actually are, but Chase Field is literally like just a couple blocks away.
I think the Cardinals play in Glendale.
Yeah. Yep.
They moved there.
That would make
I think
sense.
A bunch of people moved there.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, but I think that's because they have their retractable stadium where they actually pull the grass out.
Yeah, that's right.
So
to get sun.
So the Coyotes should just build a rink in Phoenix and go back to being the Phoenix Coyotes.
They could.
Yes, but I mean that reputation they have of that's what's going to be so difficult, and it really puts the NHL in a bind. I mean, you guys see over my, it would be my right shoulder here on the screen. They got the standings board. They got 32 teams now, and it's like if you're the NHL, you do not want to leave Phoenix, but at the same time, it's kind of like, man alive, could they get something going? Is there anybody that can get in there and actually vault that franchise up? I feel bad for Shane Gostisbehere, for God's sakes.
But that's also on Gary Bettman and his crew.
It is. Yeah.
They got to figure that out.
They really do.
Maybe
I mean, there were rumors they were going to move to Hamilton in Ontario, and they were going to move potentially back over to Winnipeg. But I mean, the NHL squashed that and moved the Thrashers up there to Winnipeg and rebranded them the Jets. I mean, it was like, man alive.
You just brought up Albuquerque, right, Steve?
Yeah, I said maybe they should move to Albuquerque.
Yeah, dude, Albuquerque, New Mexico is a place they should probably go to.
Call themselves the Isotopes. There you go.
Yep.
I mean, there we go. And how about our second story here, guys? This is really cool. Speaking of bottom-dwelling baseball teams, you've got the Pirates and the Reds. And the Pirates, of course, in one of the series, it was a couple weeks ago, Sunday matinee in Pittsburgh. Pirates beat them 1-0. It's typical, maybe a low-scoring game. The only problem was Pittsburgh scored that run with no hits. So they were no hit.
Yes.
And they won the game.
Yep.
And so they did it by this. They basically, in the 8th inning, they scored the run with a ground out to first. So nobody on with one out. Then a walk. Then a second walk. Then a third walk. And then an RBI ground out. And that's how they scored their run. And then a pop out to end the inning. So no hits, but a fielder's choice in the middle of that in the second out. And it scored the run.
Andrew McCutchen is proud. Producing runs. How that works. Way to produce the runs.
I mean, that was pretty bad.
I feel bad for both pitching staffs because they did such a great job.
Yeah.
And nobody's talking about that. They're talking about the fact that the team that won got no hit.
Yeah. I feel horrible for really Cincinnati because they're just god awful right now. And I think at the time of this recording, I'm just going to pull up the standings.
This is got to be bottom for them, right?
This is the bottom of the bottom. They only won, I think, at 1.3 games during the year. I think they were 3-22. They've been a little bit of a run. They're 11-27 now, so they're 13.5 back of Milwaukee at the time of this recording. But yeah, I mean.
But you threw a no-hitter and you lost.
Yeah. Exactly. That's
Oh,
That's so sucky for their pitching staff.
yeah.
And also Pittsburgh's pitching staff.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you pitch just as good as Cincinnati.
Yeah, they only gave up 4 hits. The entire staff gave up 4 hits but didn't allow a run to cross. So I think it was only the 3rd time in MLB history where a team got no hit and still won the game.
This is the 6th time it's happened.
The 6th time. Oh, wow.
It's happened 6 times.
That's impressive.
That's pretty good.
How the hell?
That's
Question.
awesome.
Is it 6 times pre-1970 or post-1970? Because
obviously
I
this
have
one's
some things to
post.
say about baseball.
Exactly.
This one's obviously post-19th. I don't know when the others were, but it's happened 5 other times, which in and of itself is just mind-boggling.
I mean, if you're going to
crazy.
tell me that this happened 5 times in 1932, whatever. But if you're telling me this happened 6 times since the 70s, that's impressive.
That's really amazing. Last time prior to that, it happened in 2008.
Really?
The Dodgers and the Angels, Los Angeles. Yeah.
They both were terrible, so that makes
Wait. We played the Dodgers in the NLCS that year.
Yeah. Yeah.
oh. And they were not
2008.
that good.
That was the last time. Yeah. The first time a team was no hit and still won the game did not occur until 1964.
All right,
When
there's your
Ken-
answer to the question, John.
Okay.
When Ken
Okay.
Johnson of the Houston Colt 45s, got to bring that name back, baby.
Oh, and you got to have what's his name to
Yeah.
say it.
Who, the Star Wars guy?
Yeah, Lando. What's his
Yeah.
real name?
Billy
Billy D. Billy D. You got to get Billy D to say it, the Colt 45s.
Ken Johnson, that was the first time it happened. Houston Colt 45s in April of 1964 against the Reds. Then the Orioles did it in
So the Reds have been
67.
involved multiple times.
Yes, that is the best.
Andy Hawkins did it. New York Yankees against the White Sox, July of 1990.
Yikes.
Matt Young, Boston Red Sox, April of 92 against Cleveland.
So we got 3, 4. Okay.
Jared
08.
Weaver and Jose Arrondo, Angels against Dodgers, 2008. And then, of course, this game, the Reds
So
and the
5 of
Pirates.
them were after 70, and then 1 was in 64, and that kind of counts too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so it's all modern era.
Yeah. Crazy.
That is embarrassing. I think I've come around. This is even
but especially in the modern era of baseball.
Baseball, yeah.
Like,
it's
Where you
even
can put the
worse.
ball anywhere, and
It's even worse than the Coyotes, right? Your
That's a
pitchers,
great question.
you pitchers throw a no hitter.
Yeah.
The
And
other
still
team
lose?
got 0 hits, and you lost the game.
That's
Yeah.
pretty
That is pathetic.
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
That's awful.
I'm trying to remember, I would probably say, the Arizona Coyotes probably have to be one of the, if not the worst franchise in history right now. It's certainly in the immediate history, talking maybe 10 years, they're easily at the bottom.
They're not in the top. They're not in the top 10.
You don't think so?
I don't know. No, the top 10 of good teams. So they're down on the bottom half. I don't know if I would call them to. The Kings were really bad for a really long time.
That's true. Yeah.
I would
Um,
say one of the worst run teams in sports in the last little while has been the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were rumors that they were going to move. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
They probably should have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Phoenix Coyotes are really shitty at running a business, as we're saying.
Yeah.
But I don't.
yeah, I
don't
would
think-
agree,
I
but-
don't think of them that way. But this article actually makes me want to look at them a little further and why the hell is this existing? Because an NHL team should not be in a 5,000 seat stadium.
No.
No,
That's really embarrassing for
but
the league.
that's old news though. That to me this week, getting no hit
Yeah.
is worse than
It's
not
terrible.
getting your logo.
Any no hit.
Well,
and
I'm
still
sure.
winning.
I'm
Yeah.
Right.
sure that teams have been displaced from their
Oh, absolutely.
place enough times to where it's not just 6 times. Because it's only happened 6 times.
Yeah. That's
It
amazing.
just-
It's happened that frequent.
It's mind-boggling to me how you can hold a team to 0 hits and lose the
And
game
still lose the game.
unless you yourself got no hit. That even then.
That's what I thought when I first read.
Yeah.
Like I thought it was 2 no-hitters and it was just a bad luck.
Lost. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like a walk and the production, and it was a pop fly, and he scored, and it was both were no hit. And it turns out the other team gave up hits, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
And you know the worst part of it is, you know, you could see like, all right, you walk a guy, he steals second. You get 2 fly balls to the outfield, and he scores.
Yeah, he scores.
You walked the bases loaded. I mean, the only way this could have been any worse would have been if you had walked the run home.
So
yeah, that is the only way. There's no other way it could be.
Let me ask you guys this question. You're at that game. You keep the ticket?
No.
No?
I think the no-hitter should be stricken from the record. I mean, you.
I love it.
It shouldn't mean a thing if you didn't win the game.
If you didn't win the game.
I totally agree.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you didn't win the game. It's just.
It is history. It is history. It's only 6 times.
Yeah, it happened 6 times. So
it's a debate. It really is. Do you?
It should go in the Hall of Fame when you're bored of watching all the other stuff. You go into the mishaps of baseball, and you could be like, "Wow, that actually happened! Like the ball bounced off the dude's head for a home run."
It's in the same wing as which Henry Aaron was it in Futurama, Matt? Henry Aaron III.
Yeah.
Worst player in baseball.
Worst player in baseball history.
It's in that wing.
It is in that wing. That's true.
And they need a wing for that because there is ridiculousness about
that
baseball, and this is exactly.
I don't know. I'm trying to debate if I would have really kept that ticket. I mean, it's a unique item. There's no question. But at the same time, it's almost an embarrassment to hold on to it because it's like,
a good
how much
point.
can I sell it for on eBay? Really?
Yeah, but you were there, so why not keep it? You know.
If you're a Pirates fan, you won the game despite being no hit. I would say, yeah, that's worth holding on to. Yeah. If you're a Reds fan, you burn it. Put it in a metal trash can. You take some gasoline,
and I think I think you probably reimagine your fandom for the Reds.
Reevaluate your choices in life.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what's going on here? Oh my gosh. Well, that's it, guys. That's our episode of Two Noobs Talking. Episode 85 is in the books. It'll be on to 86, where we're going to go back into the Two Noobs tournament.
It's all Fred Barnett.
Love it, yeah. We're going to finally have some really good players, I think, coming up in 86, too. So that'll be really good. And hopefully we'll have a really cool Leo Sugar one. We'll find that, maybe.
We'll it's got someone that has a drink at the bar with Leo.
I didn't have any good San Francisco 49ers to murmur into the microphone today.
I was just going to say, like, who wore 85 for that? Ty Streets.
Maybe. Oh, was that who it was?
Maybe. I might.
There had to be a tight end. Didn't Brent Jones wear that? Or
no,
he was 84.
Yeah, he wore 84.
Yeah.
84, 85, 86. Tight end numbers.
It's crazy. All right, so that's it. That's our episode. Johnny, where can people find us, man, on the socials?
Well, we'll start at Facebook with those beautiful posts that Steve puts out there. And then I steal them. And then I put them on TikTok, Clapper, Instagram, and whatever I'm feeling at that time, Twitter. And then that goes out to bring you to that's our main YouTube channel, the Two Noobs Talking Podcast. Of course, like, share, subscribe, get notified when our new episodes drop. On the audio side, Steve, where can people listen to us?
Well, just before we get to the audio, John has a really convoluted way of doing the videos. So you go to Twitter.
Yeah.
And that takes you to Clapper, and then Clapper takes you to YouTube.
Yes.
On the audio side, it is much, much less complicated. Yeah. We go into Podbean, and then Podbean shoots us out in all different directions to get onto things like Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon Music, and all sorts of other little doodads. Awesome. You can Google us with Two Noobs, TWO or TOO, but not TO. No.
We are not Googleable on that. Yeah.
Exactly. Our show notes can be found twonoobstalking.wordpress.com. Links to all of our articles are listed there. You can check us out there as well. My thanks to Steve and my thanks to John for joining me today on Two Noobs Talking. It's on to 86, guys. What do you say? Keep going? Why not, right? Let's do it.
Might as well at this point.
Let's do it. Talk to you all guys next week.
Tired.
Take care.
If you don't read the newspaper, you're uninformed. If you do read it, you're misinformed. That's a great question. What is the long-term effect of too much information? One of the effects is the need to be first, not even to be true anymore.